Cochise County, and welcome to the Michael Zehr Show. Today's date is March 24th, 2023. I'm sorry I didn't have a show last week. I couldn't find anybody to interview, and I was on spring break up at the World Baseball Classic watching Team USA play against, Great Britain, Mexico. It was a really good tournament, and got to spend some time with my grandkids and family up there. So when I got back, I couldn't find anybody to interview. So uh, if you are interested in coming on and being a guest and sharing your story, by all means, reach out to me through private message, Facebook, because I'm on Facebook. Uh, just look for Michael E. Zehr on Facebook. You'll see my picture, and send me a private message. Just say, hey, I would love to be on the live stream, or contact the Warrior Healing Center. Come in here. If you've never been into the Warrior Healing Center, come in, do an intake form, get familiar with all the beautiful resources that the center has to offer you, and schedule to sit down and do an interview with me. I'd love to tell your story. And having said all of that, we're coming to you from the Rising Eagle Studio here at the Warrior Healing Center in Cochise County, Arizona. And my guest today, special guest veteran, is Tad Eichenbrock. Tad, thank you so much for coming in and sitting down to share your story. And we have Linda to thank for arranging this interview. So if you want to get to her later and say, okay, Linda, I did it, now it's your turn. Right? So Tad, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where were you born and raised? Where was home and all that?
Well, I was born in Greenville, South Carolina. I was raised in Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, huh?
Yes.
Are you a Red Sox fan?
To the day I die.
Wow, okay.
And even though I love sports, everything like that. And I'll cheer for Arizona, but I'll always be a Celtics, Red Sox, Boston fan.
There you go.
Yeah.
And did you go to high school in Boston too?
I sure did. Mm-hmm.
And graduated there?
Yep.
So when you graduated high school, what was next? What did you do?
After I graduated high school, then we moved to Michigan, and I went to college. I went to Eastern Michigan University for a little bit.
Okay.
And then
What was your plan when you went to college? What were you going for?
Accounting.
Accounting? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I didn't go into accounting, though.
Okay.
Because then I ended up meeting a guy, got married. He joined the Marine Corps.
Ah.
So I lived at Camp Lejeune. Well, Quantico was his first duty station.
Right.
So we lived there and everything like that for a while. Things didn't last.
Okay.
So he ended up getting out the military, and I ended up joining the military. So I ended up joining the Army.
I was going to ask you what inspired you to join the military. What led to that?
Well, originally I joined the military for the college fund.
Okay.
But then I ended up staying because I actually loved it and enjoyed it and had a great time.
Did you retire from the military?
Yes.
Oh, so you spent a full career there then.
Mm-hmm.
So what year did you go in? What year was basic training for you?
I went in 1984.
Okay. And where was basic at?
Basic was at Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Oh, okay. All right. That was kind of close to home, right?
Yep.
Okay.
And I think it didn't stay open very long because not too many people went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for basic training.
Well, I know they used to have it at Fort McClellan for women, but then they closed that down, and I know that they moved it to a couple of different places. I didn't know if Fort Dix was one of them or if they had it going. I'll have to do some more research on that and see. So after your basic training at Fort Dix, did you get to choose your MOS? Did the Army decide what MOS you were going to do? How did that work out for you?
Well, the first MOS I chose was in the medical field. But then since I didn't get to ship out when I was supposed to, I lost that slot, and I ended up choosing another slot, which was a 52 Charlie, utilities, equipment, and repair person.
Utilities, equipment, and repair? Mm-hmm. Which is what? What is that exactly?
You're working on basically air conditioning units, laundry and bath units, sewing machines. I only saw a sewing machine when I was in basic training. I mean, in AIT.
Okay.
But most of the work I did was on the air conditioning units, because in the time that I was in, that's, the Cold War was still going on. And so my first duty assignment was here at Fort Huachuca. And at that time, I was that's when it was mostly a signal installation. So I was with the 11th Signal Brigade, 521st Signal Company. And since we weren't a direct support maintenance unit. So the 19th was our direct support unit. And so when I was in the 521st, they really didn't have any AC equipment for me to work on. So I ended up cross-training for a little bit and working in the motor pool.
Okay.
And then I got pulled up to work in the supply company.
And how long did you do that for? And where was your first duty station at?
Here at Fort Huachuca.
At Fort Huachuca, okay. Mm-hmm. And what year did you get here then? That would have been in 84 or 85?
I got here in 85, I believe. Yeah, 85. And it was my first assignment.
Wow.
And I can remember looking out the plane coming from the East Coast. Uh-huh. And I see the stuff getting browner and browner. And I'm thinking to myself, what the heck have I gotten myself into?
Uh-oh.
So got here to Fort Huachuca. I had never been out west before in my life. But I ended up loving it out here. And I knew that when I retired that I wanted to come here to live. Because after growing up in the city and everything like that, I like the slowness of this. Uh-huh. And then you figure even during that time, they didn't have a whole lot here. I mean, they didn't have a mall.
Nope.
They didn't have, I think, I can remember going to Tucson. It was a 2-lane road.
Yeah.
Once you got out of Huachuca City, there was nothing on the highway. Because then when
you used to call it Highway to Hell.
Yeah, and it was scary too.
Yep.
I used to hate that ride.
Yeah.
I can remember I was being here. They had this thing called 0 Week, which was part of your in processing. And they told you about the desert life and everything like that, and how quickly the temperature can change from being really hot in the daytime to cold at night, and right. How people had died and stuff. And they told us the story about the gold that was buried in the mountains, and how people have gone up there to find it, only to end up dying up there because they get disoriented and lost. So like I said, I enjoyed it here. I used to party quite a bit, because that's when they had the Center Cortez.
Yes, I remember this.
You remember that?
Yep,
yeah.
I do. I've been here since 77, so I know, yeah.
So you've seen it change a whole lot then.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they used to have the Mule Mountain Marathon here.
Yep.
But yeah, I loved my time here at Fort Huachuca.
And then,
as a young soldier.
I think it was like 88 or 89, I got into DJing. And at the NCO club, and a lot of the clubs like the Cine Cortez, Jazz Corner, I don't know what year that opened, but there they had Accolades later built. There's all these clubs, right? And they would shut down at 1 o'clock, and the NCO club would stay open until 4, right? So yeah. People would go up there and party and have a good time. So yeah, those were good times.
Yeah, because I remember those days, like you say, party until 2 o'clock off post, and then come on post and party until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I can remember doing it on a Sunday night. I remember being in formation the next day, having to run PT.
Yeah. Always going down to Village Inn afterwards for breakfast and stuff. Yeah. I miss Village Inn.
It was fun back then.
So Kathy was asking, what is the Center Cortez?
No, it was the Sin of Cortez.
Sin of Cortez. Oh, that's right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry, Kathy. Yeah, it was a nightclub, right? That was out on Highway 90.
Yes.
Kind of out by where the UPS station is. Actually, I don't know what it is now. It's like a contracting building or something, because they tore it down and rebuilt something. It's out there by the animal center and all that. So, but yeah, that was the Sin of Cortez. Yeah. That was a hopping club too.
It was. It was always packed.
So you were here, and how long were you stationed here for?
I was stationed here for, let me remember, for about 2 years, because then I got an assignment to Germany.
And while you were here, how long did it take you to acclimate compared to all of the live and the water and greenery and stuff that you had back on the East Coast? And you're talking about everything's like brown and dead out here and all the different wildlife and stuff. How long did it take you to kind of get used to that and acclimate to it?
Well, that didn't bother me because I really didn't notice it because I was too busy being amazed by the mountain views. I always thought that it was like a postcard.
Yeah.
And I had never seen that before. So that always just took my breath away, and I just concentrated on that mostly.
Yeah, it's beautiful out here. I love the mountains.
It is.
And there's been a lot of changes in the time since we've been here. But yeah, so you leave Fort Huachuca, you go to Germany. Where did you go to Germany?
I was stationed in Baumholder,
Okay.
Germany. Well, I met my first husband here, and so then we went to Germany because he was signal as well too.
Okay.
And so we ended up going to Baumholder, Germany. He worked in Baumholder, and I worked in Neubrücke at an ADA company, ADA organization, where they had the missiles. And so as a 52 Charlie, my job was to maintain the air conditioning units on the vans that launched the missiles.
Wow. So with your MOS, you can go anywhere from doing air conditioning and sewing machines and all these other things and into missiles. I mean, how do you make that jump? That's awesome, actually.
Well, I actually just worked on the 9,000 BTU air conditioning units that were in the vans.
Right.
But I was around that type of stuff. And what was interesting back then, because remember that, like I said, that's when the Cold War was still going on. When we had the NBC suits and we'd have the, what's the word I'm looking for? Not the raids, but the drills.
Uh-huh.
And so since those sites, we had sites throughout that part of Germany. So if an air conditioning unit went down, then we would have to travel to that site. And sometimes the site could be like over an hour away.
Okay.
And you had to work on it until you got it up because those things were critical during that time. So it was a 24/7 type operation.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what was your quarters like there? Where did you stay at?
They reminded me of the Monopoly houses They were apartment buildings, but they were like a long row of apartment buildings. I think they were 3 or 4 floors, if I'm not mistaken. And you had what's called a stair. Not stair commander, but they were inside of the stairwell. Each building had a stairwell coordinator. That's what it was.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And a lot of people, they didn't like Baumholder. I loved it. And Baumholder, that was maybe about, I think, 40 minutes away from Darmstadt. And I remember my first time going to Germany, and I'm on the bus going to my duty station, and I just thought the place was gorgeous because it was in the wintertime, and it was just so green and pretty and hilly. And I was just amazed by that. So I enjoyed my stay at Baumholder. It's one of the places where I had some of the best ribs and potatoes.
Really? You don't think about Germany for their ribs, do you?
No, not normally. But they had this restaurant. It was called the Stadtkreuz.
Okay.
And the organization, they used to have a lot of their hail and farewells there. And I can remember going one evening for the first time. And it was salad, the Kartoffeln, the potatoes, and their ribs. And it was delicious.
So Kathy asked another good question, actually. What does a stairwell coordinator coordinate?
Well, they're in charge of making sure that you keep quiet. We had to make sure that we kept our stairwell clean. We had to sweep it on a regular basis, mop it, and things of that nature.
Was it like an open barracks type thing, or was it individual rooms on each of the floors?
Those individual apartments. Actually, you're living in an apartment complex.
Okay. But they had stairwell coordinators.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did they have any other duties that you know of?
Not that I know of.
No?
Mm-mm.
Did you ever do it?
No.
Or was that a certain...
That was a certain ranks, and I wasn't that ranked yet.
I was wondering if it was something like how they had staff duty and stuff like that, if it was like an extra duty as assigned type of thing.
Based on your rank, it's like the senior ranking person in the building was in charge of that particular stairwell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No money. That was back in the late 80s, early 90s.
So you're from the East Coast,
Mm-hmm.
and you got a little taste of the southern Arizona here, and then you go to Germany, and,
Mm-hmm.
and you step off the plane, and you said that you noticed that it was wintertime. There had to be like a big difference, right, in comparison to the scenery and the people, the economy, and I always hear the beer is great there. If you drink beer, I hear that Germany is great for their beer.
Yeah, because as a matter of fact, because you could get, I think their bottles come in liters, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow. Okay.
And you can get what's called a rack of beer.
Okay.
And it looks like like you remember what the old milk crates look like?
I do.
People
Yeah.
used to use them for like their records and all
Yeah.
that stuff. And so you can get it actually delivered to your house.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So that was, and then like of course the bratwurst was good. Enjoyed the food there was amazing. Oh, and, oh my goodness! And then their pastries, because they're other their bakeries, they have fresh baked goods every day, fresh bread every day.
Uh-huh.
So their broaching is delicious.
Oh, I know. I love broaches.
Yeah, so I remember one of my things was I would get something from the bakery pretty much almost every day. So this is in the fall and winter. So come summertime, I had, needless to say, I have put on quite a few pounds from eating all their pastry. And what's good is that their pastries, they're not as sweet as ours. So they're really delicious. One of my favorites was I guess it was a kind of cheesecake that had some fruit on it with the clear glaze on it.
Oh, wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
And then I also took advantage of going to the Volksmarches every weekend. And how I would choose which ones to go to is that I would first and see what they were giving away after you got done with it.
You know, we used to have those here at Fort Huachuca back in the day. I don't know if they do those here anymore. I haven't heard them advertised in a long time.
Me either.
The Wolf's March, yeah.
Because when I first got here, when I returned here in 2005, they had like a Volksmarchen club. And they did a couple of marches on post, and then I didn't hear anything else about it.
How long do they take the hikes for about, do you remember?
Yeah, they were either, I think, 5K or 10K, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's why I got a lot of my crystal, was doing the most marches. And of course, the food at the end with the bratwurst and the brochen and the pastries. So it was well worth the hike.
Making me hungry. So you were in Germany then. You were in that area for how long? How long were you there for?
I was there until 91.
91?
Mm-hmm.
So
Matter of fact, I was there when the wall came down.
Oh, wow. Did you get to go see it?
No.
No?
Mm-mm. Sure
Pretty historic event though, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
A lot of heightened security at that time?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would think so, but yeah, and that was 91, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then you leave Germany, and where's your next stop?
Fort Bragg.
Fort Bragg.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of back home.
Yeah, and I actually enjoyed Fort Bragg because
Yeah.
I love the structure. I love the high morale. I love that we had to have our A and B bag, like our duffel bags. We had an A bag and a B bag, so that in case we got called up to deploy, we were ready at a moment's notice with our bags and everything. So I enjoyed Fort Bragg. I was in a quartermaster unit then.
Okay.
And quartermaster, the unit that I was in, dealt with class 1 supplies, which is your food items. And so we have refrigerated units. We have refrigeration units there. So I would maintain those.
Okay, because I was going to ask you what happened. Did you get reclassified, but you just got assigned to a unit there that did for the refrigeration?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, gotcha.
Correct, yes.
And like I said, that's close to home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not too far? From where you were born and stuff like that, I meant.
Yeah, but where I was born at, I have never been back there once
No?
I left. Mm-mm. I left, you figure, My mother moved to Boston when I was about a year old.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know really much about my where I was born at.
Yeah, that's like me. I was born in Peoria, Illinois, but we moved at such a young age. But I still have family there. So when I go back, I always go back to see family. So I didn't know if you had any extended family there or not. So you're at Fort Bragg, and it kind of felt maybe kind of close to like a homecoming, maybe a little bit compared to when you were in Germany.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it was.
At least you're back around the country where you could. That was another thing I was going to ask you when you're in Germany. I forgot. Communication. How was it communicating with Germany, with Germans there?
Well, you think the first time that I was there, didn't really interact a whole lot with the Germans there, and that's only because being on the installation and being in the city that I was in, it was pretty much Americanized. We were close to K-Town,
Okay.
Kaiserslautern, and if anyone who's been in Germany knows, it's kind of like almost like being in America. So to
And most
speak,
of the
in a
Germans there
sense.
speak English too. So,
Yeah,
did you pick up any German?
I did.
Did you?
And I picked
Okay.
up even more the second time that I was able to go to Germany, because then we had the opportunity to live on the economy.
Oh wow.
That was years later down in my career.
Okay. So after Fort Bragg, where did you go then, and what year are we looking at? How long have you been in?
Okay, so like then I was at Fort Bragg for exactly 2 years, from 91 to 90. Let me see, from 91 to 93. Where did I go then? I'm trying to think, because then I think I went to Somalia. I'm trying to remember. Because then I came down on orders to go to Korea.
Okay.
Yeah. So after Fort Bragg, it was Korea.
So, but you said you went to Somalia in between,
Mm-hmm.
and was that during the time when they had the conflict and we had all of our troops that were in there too at that time?
Yes.
Was it?
So we were there my unit was there for 6 months. Yeah, matter of fact, because I went with the quartermaster unit that I was in, 18 quartermaster unit. And we went there to provide food for the people there, for
Right.
the Somalis. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So
I'll
we
never
were there on a humanitarian mission. So
I'll never forget when, because the news media back then, it's like they knew everything. The Marines are landing in Somalia. They're coming onto the beach and they're met by a bunch of cameras. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that was not a very well kept secret.
No, it wasn't. So I was there it was about 6 months.
What did you think of Somalia?
It was different.
Never been there before.
It was very hot.
Uh-huh.
And humid, because I'm trying to think what time of the year. I thought it was like maybe during our winter months or spring. I can't remember what time of the year it was, but I know it was very hot. I remember because like for a while there we stayed in. We had made our connexes into our living quarters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we had fans in there, so we had set them up with with the tents and all that stuff. And I can remember being there, and they had these huge black ants over there that I had never seen before in my life,
Wow.
which I thought was kind of interesting. It was also interesting that even though we were there to provide humanitarian aid to the Somalis who were starving, they still worship Saddam Hussein because he was Muslim, and we were Christians.
Right.
So, but like I said, I enjoyed that tour as well. I can remember they had this thing called the Circle. Well, it was down the center of town, and I can remember going that way, and you would just see, just be like masses of people, and then also
Wow.
you would see them selling their meat out in the open, and mind you, it's hot, it's no refrigeration, and it's fresh meat, and flies are all over the stuff. This is their marketplace. Anyway, I can remember I was in a Humvee and I was the passenger, And this Somali, because they were known for, well, not known, but it was common for the Somalis to steal our equipment.
Right.
I mean, they would get on the back of a 5-ton vehicle that's moving and steal soldiers' equipment from there. So we ended up having to have a soldier actually sit in the back. And then also, like I said, when I was in the Humvee and the window was down, and I had some sunglasses, and a Somali came up on the side. He was so stealth and just literally stole them off my face. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, but that was an interesting tour, and I enjoyed it because I enjoyed the humanitarian aid that we were rendering to them, and I enjoy helping people.
It's got to be hard though, seeing them suffering like that and
Yeah.
starving and not being able to physically just go in and help every single one that you could.
Yeah, it was tough seeing that.
Because you also had like the warlords and tribes, if I remember correctly, a little bit about what was going on at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And they too were controlling, like when the shipments of food would come in for the people, they would come in and take it and control it and try to, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it was terrible, horrible conditions for them.
And what was your rank at that time?
I was in E5, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I was in E5.
And then you went to Korea.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's got to be very interesting that you had all of this different experiences with all this different cultures between Germany and Somalia, and now you're in Korea.
Mm-hmm.
What was your first take of that when you first got there? And where in Korea were you?
I was stationed in Seoul.
Okay.
The smell.
Yeah.
Took some getting used to. But then afterwards, I ended up, I love Korea.
Uh-huh.
I think it's one of the Army's best kept secrets because once you figure it out, it's a nice place to be. I enjoyed it. I didn't like the fact that it was packed. So I was in Seoul, and then my then husband, he was up at Camp Red Cloud. So what I would do is on the weekends I would go up there to stay because it was less crowded up there.
Okay. How long was the trip?
Well, they have buses on post that would take you.
Okay.
So depending on the traffic, it could take you a couple of hours. But then I learned how to take the train. And not only was the train quicker, but it was also cheaper than what you had to pay on the bus.
Okay.
Yeah. But I enjoyed the food there. The Katusa, one of the Katusas took us under his wing and actually took us on the Korean economy. So we got to experience the Korean culture. He took us hiking to, I think it's called Bukhansan Mountain. And here I am, this young soldier going up this mountain. And I'm a little bit afraid of heights as well, too. And
Okay.
You have these elderly Korean women just passing me by quickly, like I'm in the way because I'm not moving fast enough. So I enjoyed Korea, and I would have gone back if I had a chance to be stationed there again.
Did you go up on the DMZ at all?
I did.
Did you? What did you think of
Yeah,
that?
that was so interesting. Oh my goodness. And to be in that building where, you heard about the building where half of it is on the north side.
North Korea and South Korea.
Mm-hmm. And so we actually got to, so to speak, be in North Korea just by stepping on the other side of that building.
Wow.
Yeah. And they told us a story about the tree where I think it was an officer that had gotten killed or something.
I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was interesting, though, being up there.
Yeah, because whenever I talk to veterans that have been up there, they always share stories about how each side taunts each other, and at times rounds have been fired in the air and stuff like that. And it's just like, I don't know. It seems like it's a very high pressure situation to have to be there 24/7 would be horrible, I would think.
Yeah, and especially for the North and South Korean soldiers who are on the border guarding it, because they're unable to trust each other because you don't know like if that person wants a defect or what the deal is. So
Right, exactly.
yeah, so it's pretty tense for them.
So Kathy asked this question, another one, good one. Can you cross the line freely inside that building, and how do they manage that?
Well, you're actually on a tour, so they're talking to you. So you just don't go up there at random. You're actually going up there on appointment, so to speak, with a tour, and then they have you cross over and come back. So no, it's guided.
So it's a guided tour.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you're in Korea for Seoul, Korea for how long?
For 1 year.
For 1 year. And what else? What other jobs did you do while you were there?
Oh, when I was in Korea, I'm trying to think what was my job because I didn't do maintenance. I'm trying to think, what did I do? I can't remember if I was personnel.
You had too much fun, is what you did.
I did.
You were looking. You were too busy sightseeing.
Because the year went by fast. Because
Uh-huh.
after 6 months you take mid-tour leave for like 30 days, and then it's time for you to PCS. I know I worked in the office. I know I didn't do maintenance.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you didn't change MOSs at any time, did you?
No, I kept my MOS.
Your MOS the whole time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, I actually had 2 MOSs. Oh, I worked supply in Korea.
Supply? All
Yes.
right.
And so when I was stationed here at Fort Huachuca, once they moved me out of the motor pool and pulled me up into the supply office, what I was able to do was what they had back then was on-the-job training. So I was able to, since I had worked in supply for more than 6 months, I was able to request it as my secondary MOS.
Cool.
So 92 Yankee was my secondary MOS.
And you get that without having to go to the school for it, because like you said, OJT. So that's really good.
And so in Korea, I worked.
That's your
supply.
secondary MOS.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, I did.
And then what year was it that you left Korea?
I left Korea in, let's see, 91 to 90. Oh, I left Korea in 94.
Okay,
So
and when do you remember when Desert Storm started? Wasn't it like 92 or 90? I'm gonna have to look it up now.
Because, let me think.
Siri knows everything. Watch this. When did Desert Storm start? The Gulf War started in 1990, from August 2nd, 1990 through February 28th, 1991. That was when the very first one kicked off.
And that's when I was in Germany.
Yeah.
And so we got extended past our 3-year commitment there because of
the
that.
war.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because our company or organization was pulling duty. And as a matter of fact, you had the soldiers who were walking around the housing areas on patrol during that time. So I didn't get to go. I didn't deploy that time.
Okay.
So
after Korea, then where did you head next?
then I went to Fort Hood, Texas.
Fort Hood, Texas. Okay.
Yes. Did not want to go there because I had heard such horrible stories, so I was afraid to go there. And I kept contacting DA, requesting. I wanted to go back to Fort Bragg actually, because I love Fort Bragg.
Okay.
And after hounding my career manager, he sent me a thing saying you're going to Fort Hood, pick up your weapon and shoot for the stars. So needless to say, I was kind of ticked off about that. But then I went to Fort Hood, and then it ended up being one of my best assignments, especially as far as quality of life is for family. So
now, when you got stationed at Fort Hood, how many years had you had in at that time, and what was your rank?
I had, let me see, because I got to Fort Hood in 94.
So that'd have been about 10 years.
10 years, and I started there as an E5.
Okay.
It was E5 because I made my E6 when I was at Fort Hood.
And when you went to get E6, isn't that when you had to do like the promotion packet and all that? You had to do like did you have to go like to ANOC or BNOC or any of the PLDC schools or any of that stuff?
Yep, I had to do the PLDC. As a matter of fact, my PLDC was while I was in Germany. And then, and during that time, that's when I saw you had a lady on here that you interviewed. I'm not sure when it was, but she went to school in Dorchester, and she spoke to you about the point system back then. And so that's how it was when I was in, when you had the point system. So you wanted to try and max your points. That's when you took the correspondence courses to max your education. You wanted to do well on the PT test, weapons, and all that stuff.
So while you're at Fort Hood, then you made your E6. And what was your position? What were you doing at Fort Hood?
Then I was in a combat support hospital, a CASH.
Okay.
Which I enjoyed, and there we had and I actually did maintenance. I was in a maintenance unit, a direct support unit, as a matter of fact. And so there we had the 100K generators that ran the field hospitals, which I really enjoyed doing that.
What's the difference between a CASH and a MASH? I know MASH, the TV show, but that's like a mobilized. What is the CASH again? What does that do?
Combat support hospital.
Okay.
So I know we're kind of like out, close to the front, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Maybe MASH was just a made up thing for TV. Who knows? Was there any MASH units in the military? I'll have to Google that one next to find out.
I just know about the CASH.
And you had to keep all the equipment up and running because, like, if you had emergency people coming in or anything like that, if it was a combat situation.
Right, because what we would do, we would go to the field. We would go to, for instance, Fort Polk, Louisiana, and they would set up the combat support hospital, and then we would have to run the power. Right. From the generators to power it up and everything.
Wow.
So it was interesting. It was fun.
And well, in a life-threatening situation, that's valuable. That's valuable. I mean, because that provides all the power for them to be able to do all their surgeries and have all their access to their medical equipment and everything too. So. And what did you like most about Fort Hood?
The family life, because when I was there, that's when. Like I was in pretty much COSCOM. So I had never been stationed. I had never been assigned to a division. I was always combat service support units. Okay, mobile army service.
Is that a real thing though, Kathy, or was that just made up for the TV show? I don't know. But yeah, it's so you're at Fort Hood, and so that's one of the things that you really liked about it the best was for your family.
And just the morale there was
good.
Yeah, it was very good. As a matter of fact, because when I was there, that's when they had this thing called family time that was implemented, and every Thursday at 3:00, all the soldiers were to be off and heading home.
Real thing. Thank you, Kathy. Well, Hollywood takes liberties with everything, so.
Yeah, and then they'd have what was it called, the Fort Hood Family Day.
Fort Hood Family Day, okay.
And so they had this place that was called Belton Lake, and so we would go out. You could go out there, use their picnic areas. They had a lake out there. You could use, their water equipment and everything. And then on the post itself, it was like a carnival, where they had rides and all that stuff set up. And then also, while I was stationed there, they used to have concerts. They would have people come there for concerts, free concerts on the installation.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So I remember Patti LaBelle being there.
I saw her on That's My Jam the other night.
Oh, really?
I recorded it. Man, she was so good.
She is. She's still good.
I don't know if you ever, do you know what That's My Jam is? Yeah, so she had to sing Lady Marmalade with all these really weird words in it, and she did. Oh, it was hilarious. Google it and watch the video.
Okay.
It's hilarious. But how often did they have this family day? It was a yearly thing, monthly thing?
It was annual.
Annual? Okay.
And like I said, I love Fort Hood. One of the best 4 years of my career.
And you were at Fort Hood again for how long?
I was there for 4 years.
4 years.
And now, took me a while to acclimate to the weather there, because you figure I was in Korea,
right?
Where we had the 4 seasons and it got cold, And so I was used to run. I was a big runner then. And so I was used to running, any time of day. So I get to Fort Hood, Texas, not used to the humidity.
Yeah.
I go running, I think 9 o'clock in the morning one time. Big mistake, and never did that again. Because it was just so hot and humid, and it took the longest for me to finally cool down. And once I got back home.
So after you left Fort Hood, where did you go next?
Then I went back to Germany.
Back to Germany?
Mm-hmm. And this time I was stationed in Darmstadt.
This is your third tour?
My second tour to Germany.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which I really enjoyed Germany the second time I went because, like I said, my daughter, she was in middle school then, so she was able to actually appreciate the culture because she was there from middle school up until her 11th year.
Wow.
Yeah, up to her 11th year. And what was cool about that, like at first we lived in government housing that was on the economy, which was, I'm trying to think what town. I think that was in the town of Bickenbach, which is about 16K south of Darmstadt. So then what happened was the housing that we were living in, the Americans were returning it to the Germans. So then we had the option of either getting housing, more government housing on post, or living on the economy.
Okay.
So we chose to live on the economy. And so what I would have to do, because like one of my friends, she was American, but she spoke German. And so then she helped me put an ad in the German newspaper to find a house. And so we were able to find a house in Bickenbach and, loved it. My daughter, since we lived in Bickenbach, which is 16K south of Darmstadt, she would have to get a school bus that would pick her up and take her to Darmstadt to the school. But what was cool about that is that their school buses there are not the yellow school buses like you have over here in the States. No. They are like tour buses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so, she would have to she was in charge of getting herself ready for school because I would already be at work because, we had to go in for PT and everything.
Wow.
And so she had to be responsible and mature at an early age, put it that way. Because, like I said, she had to give.
I think it was a good experience for her too.
It was. It really
was. a lot of children that have had schooling in Germany and then have come back. They get that, I don't know, that extra exposure to different cultures and stuff like that you just don't get here.
Yeah. And she enjoyed it, and I was glad that she was able to experience that culture.
So where did you end up going from there? Did you go back, and then was that your last? Where did you go from Germany first?
Then, so after that, so Germany was Germany, and then I ended up going to Fort Drum. That was my last assignment.
And that's where you retired from?
Yes.
And what was your rank when you retired?
E7.
E7?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you had a total amount of how many years?
Oh,
over 20?
Yeah, it was like 22, like 22 years and 4 months, something like that.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
So out of all of the places that you served, all the experience, all the different cultures that you've had, all the different jobs that you did and everything like that, looking back, if you could pick one assignment as your favorite and most memorable, which assignment would that have been and what location?
Germany.
In Germany?
I love the European culture.
Your second tour or both tours?
My second tour.
Your second tour?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was able to really experience the German culture since we weren't surrounded by any Americans, and that's where I learned this. I mean, I can't speak it now anymore, but that's where I learned to speak German. Because for a while there, we didn't have American TV, and so I had no choice but to watch German TV. And I didn't realize how much German I knew until I returned home back to the States. But yeah, I would say Germany the second time was my best and favorite assignment.
And remind me again, was it Fort Drum, did you say, that you retired from?
Yes.
Okay, so that wasn't too far from Fort Dix, right?
Right.
You were kind of almost came full circle from where it all started.
Yeah, because the good thing about Fort Drum, that was my
Oh.
first division.
Look who's on with us this morning, Mr. Mayor.
Ah, I saw him yesterday at this.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for joining us today.
I
I interviewed him. It was a great interview. Great young man. Well, he's older. He's younger to me, but
I think his story is amazing because I liked
Yeah.
that he said that he was on the football team at Buena,
Yes.
and when the guy asked him, what he wanted to be, he said he's going to be the mayor of this town
Yep,
one
Coach
day.
Williamson, yeah.
I thought that
Yeah.
was pretty neat.
very interesting story.
Yeah.
I love that interview with him. So what's next? You're retired now. What are you thinking you're gonna do?
Oh, right now I'm retired from the military, but I'm not retired. I am.
No. I mean, when you retired from the military, where did you go next? I guess
Oh,
I'm sorry, I wasn't clear on my question.
I returned here.
To Fort Huachuca.
Mm-hmm.
Out of all the places you've been, why were we lucky enough to have you come back to us?
No natural disasters.
No natural. I'm in. No tornadoes. No earthquakes. No. Well, we do get wildfires now. But
Yeah. So that's what brought me back here. Because like I said, I knew I wanted to come here to live because I love the small townness of it. And now that they've gotten the all the multi-use paths across the city, I'm really loving that. I mean, when they first started that project, so I've been excited about that. And then the fact that they're redoing the tennis courts over there that used to be Apache, so I'm excited about that opening up. I think it's going to be a great park. I mean, it's already a great park anyway, because it always impressed me how often that park is used.
right.
And so now to see the improvements that they're doing on it, I'm just so excited.
And the track, what they're doing back, is that the city that's doing that?
Yeah.
It is?
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. And from my understanding, I think it was done without taxpayers' dollars, from my understanding, if I read that correctly. But yes, because I see they got the green stuff down on the field, so I'm not sure if it's artificial turf or not. But I'm excited about that track being finished because I'm not sure if you were ever on there before they did it, but you would walk on that thing and then you get off and you have all these stickers in your shoes and socks and everything. So I'm excited to see how that's going to be. Yeah.
And it'll be a track that people can go out and just run, and a lot of people like to do that.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a great addition. It's not open right now, though, right? They're still working on it. Yeah.
I think they're predicting it's supposed to open maybe in May. Mm-hmm.
So you come back to Sierra Vista, and what year was this? It had to be about, what, 2004, 2005?
I came back here in 2005, November.
Okay. And what did you do when you got here?
I took 2 years off.
Okay.
And so what I would do is I would get up in the morning, I'd run, especially like in the summertime when it was hot. Then I'd go to the gym, and the gym used to have all these classes on post. So I'd be in the gym till like noon. Then I'd do my errands and everything like that, and then come home and do my housework and stuff like that.
Are there any kind of, because you've talked about the multi-use paths and the track and stuff like that, is there any other kind of, see if I can ask this correctly, any kind of other locations or items that you'd like to see the city bring in to help, especially maybe with the veteran community or anything like that?
They seem to be doing pretty well with the veteran community. I mean, like they have this building here, the Warrior Healing Center, which I think is fantastic. And I know that there's a lot of organizations here in. Oh, it's going to open in June.
Yeah, open in June. Good. Artificial turf, our rubber track.
Nice.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for that information.
That's going to be nice.
It is, yeah.
I know that there are a lot of organizations here to support the vets, which I find incredible. The amount of support that we get here in Arizona, well, in Sierra Vista, when it comes to supporting the vets. It's come a long way from, you figure what, 20 plus years ago when the vets didn't have the support that they have nowadays.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, my gosh, when we got out, there was nothing that you could go to. There was no, you were just out. You know, you just had to wing it and do it on your own. So, and a lot of like they have I forget what it's called, but it's like the TAP program now when military people retire up on Fort Huachuca, so that gives them that little bit of guidance for retirees. But for those that ETS that just get out, they don't get that. I don't believe so. So I gotta say too, one of the things that, because with the mayor watching here, with what they're doing with the park, and then I love that they're wanting to update the park. They fixed the cove. The cove has got a new machine and filters and pumps and all this stuff.
Nice.
And there's an organization that has been raising money for quite a long time. They're trying to get it to where they could update the park to make it more like honor more of the services and the veterans and stuff like that. So they're still doing a big fundraiser. I should get a hold of Bill Bates or Frank Leach or a couple of the guys that I know that are on those fundraising committees and have them come in and talk about. But that's another thing, a nice thing that they want to do for the park, for the Veterans Park.
That'd be nice. I mean, you figure it's called Veterans Park,
right?
So why not have stuff in there
that are geared to the veterans?
Yeah,
right.
The veterans.
Transition Assistance Program. That's it. Yes, thank you, Kathy. So you retired. You're living back here. You took a couple of years off. Then what'd you do after that?
Then I got a job on post as a contractor for a while, working in the warehouse for the G4, and so I did that for about, I think, 3 or 4 years before I got the current job that I'm in right now, which is I'm working. I get to still work with. I still love the idea that I get to work with soldiers, be around soldiers or the military.
Good.
And so I'm doing manpower management, which is interesting. Mm-hmm.
And do you have any community activities or any hobbies or anything that you want to share? I think I heard through I think it was Linda that told me that you were a member of the WACA. No? The WAC, Women Army Corps? No?
No. When I came in, I think they were. When did they end?
Well, you can still join. They take all service members. They do. They don't have it limited to just that one year time frame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did an interview a couple of years ago with 3 women veterans that belonged to that, and they shared their story. Mo, Lanice, and oh Lord help me, I'm Facebook friends with her too, and I know her. Jeanette.
Okay, I think I know Mo.
Yeah.
Okay, she's.
Ask Mo about it.
Okay.
Yeah, tell her. I'll get on that. I'll reach out to a couple of veterans I know that are raising funding for the park.
Okay.
So what other activities, community activities or hobbies do you got?
Well, I like to do volunteer work.
Volunteer? Where do you volunteer at?
For a while there, I volunteered for what was it called? Forgive me that I can't remember. Oh, something helping vets. It was called. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. But I know they used to have an event, an annual event where.
Coaching Serving Veterans?
Yes, that's what it was.
Okay.
CSV. Yeah, I volunteered with them for a couple of years. I did some volunteer work at ACS, and then I just like to do any type of volunteer work that I can do in the community.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, once I finish here, I plan on talking to someone about doing some volunteer work here, because I know a while back, last year sometime.
Wow, we'd be lucky to have you here.
They put out that they needed someone to do phone calls.
Yes.
So I'm interested in doing
Rona
that.
calls, where we call out. It's like you call out and you talk to veterans and you ask them, how they're doing. Yeah. Let them know that the Warrior Healing Center is here and that we care about them, and let them know about resources and if they need any help or assistance or anything. It's a great thing to do. So yeah, get in that Rona calls, when we get done, I'll have you fill out a volunteer form out front.
Okay.
All right, that would be great for you
All
to
right.
do that. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I also like my hobbies. I love anything fitness. I live like a fitness lifestyle, so I love hiking. I love the trails out here.
Okay.
And I had no idea that in Cochise County alone, the amount of beautiful trails they have. And then I like cycling, running, working out. I just enjoy. And the weather here was great.
You ought to check out Bellow Bets too.
Yeah, I've been.
You know what they are?
Yeah.
You know what they're all about?
Uh-huh.
As a matter of fact, there's a cycling event going on this weekend.
Yeah, and see, and I know that they had it last year for the first time,
Yes.
but I had to work, so I didn't get to do it. And then today was my day off. But it's kind of nippy out there, and I'm a fair weather rider. So, but I plan on going out to the events at the park. I know they're going to have some stuff set out there, so I plan on doing that today as well.
And I was reading some of the upcoming events that we got coming up in the park. They got a wine festival coming up in the near future, and a bunch of different events going on for the keep us occupied.
There's a lot to do here. People say that there's nothing to do
It's
here.
because they don't look.
They don't, because I mean, I'm easily busy every weekend. As a matter of fact, tonight there's that comedy show on post.
Oh.
At the TMAC, Thunder Mountain Activity Center. And I want to say it's 2 veterans who are the comedians.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to that.
See, I'll be the first to admit that I was guilty way back in the day of being a keyboard warrior, where I'd sit there and it's so easy to get on the internet and, oh, well, Sierra Vista doesn't do this. Oh, well, they don't have that. But you know what? If you get out of that mindset and get away from that, and you actually go out into the community and you look around and you see there is so much stuff to do here, but people just don't take the time and effort to. But there's so much to do.
Yep. And then when you ask them, what do you want to do? They can't tell you.
Yes.
And that's like, oh, and as a matter of fact, because like the event when they have the wine in the park, I can remember the first time they had that, because they have it in conjunction with the Sky Island 3-peak hike thing. And so I know it took a while for I'm not sure what her position was, but when they had the first year, they had a pretty good turnout, where they had the wine in the park and everything like that. And I know what their intent was to make Sierra Vista a destination city, which it is, because you have people that come from Phoenix and California to our events here. So the city's, I'm impressed with what the city is doing. To me, they still need to have. They don't have enough stuff for the young adults to do, because a lot of people end up going to Tucson.
Right.
I would love to see a roller skating rink here. That would be nice.
Yep.
And then like I said, some stuff for the
But there's
the adults.
a rock climbing place over here. Oh, I forget where it's at, but a lot of people don't even know that's there.
Nope.
Or take advantage of it. I forget where it's at, but it's off of Highway 90, I think, somewhere. And yeah, you're right. They don't. They want to. But there are things here for people to do.
There are. Mm-hmm.
Warrior Healing Center said that they can use your talents for outreach and for Rona and more. So make sure to check in with Evie.
Okay.
And like I said, when we get done, I'll have you fill out a volunteer form. And then Kathy said this weekend is the opening weekend at the K Palace Theater in Huachuca City too.
Now, what is that exactly?
That used to be Ray's diner. As you're coming in, if you're coming into Sierra Vista from Huachuca City, so you're coming into Huachuca City headed south, on the left hand side there's that Circle K, and then there's this building that's Ray's, and that's where it's in the old Ray's restaurant.
So are they showing? Is it like stage plays?
They do plays. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Community-based plays. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Because they do them also here at the mall.
At the mall. Yep.
Mm-hmm. And the plays are actually pretty good. Some nice local talent, so it's impressive.
It's now Theater on the Move.
Okay.
Owned by a veteran. How about that?
Nice.
Sweet. I love to hear about veteran-owned businesses in our town. So, Warrior Healing Center does a great job about keeping people up to date on what's going on with veteran-owned businesses in our area and networking them too. So,
Okay.
So do you have any last words of wisdom that you'd like to share with us or with our audience before we get off here?
Sierra Vista is a great place to live and work. I mean, if you want any city life, that's when you go to Tucson or Phoenix. And then to me, it makes you appreciate being here in Sierra Vista. So there's stuff to do out here in this town. In this, I call it the big little town. So just enjoy living in Sierra Vista and making the most of it, because it's a great place to live and to raise a family.
Well,
These
Tad,
are my opinion.
thank you so much for sharing your story today and coming in and sitting down and talking with me. And I have a few short announcements here to read real quick. But again, thank you so much for sharing your fascinating story. And thank you so much for your service to our nation. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
So some of the events that are going on at the Warrior Healing Center, Friday, which is today, through the 26th, Sunday, is the El Tour de Zona, which is the bicycle tour that we were talking about earlier that's going on this weekend. As a matter of fact, if you're on Highway 90, well, you better not be on Highway 90 and listening to this, but if you're watching this and later you go on Highway 90, remember there are signs out all this weekend slowing traffic down and reminding people that there is an event this weekend. Also today at 1100 going to 1400 is the Hot Soup Friday today, and that's going to be here at the Warrior Healing Center rec room. It's going to be creamy potato and beef vegetable, if I remember correctly. Also tomorrow on March 25th is the Medal of Honor Day. And on Tuesday, March 28th, starting at 1400 and going to 1530, is the Trualta Tuesday Hope and Wellness Support Group. That is for a support group for caregivers. So if you're a caregiver and you are interested in attending this group, please come to the Warrior Healing Center main conference room on Tuesday, March 28th at 1400 hours. Also on Tuesday, March 28th, starting at 1700 going to 1830, is the CLUG meeting, which is the Cochise Lennox Users Group, here at the Warrior Healing Center main conference room. Then on Tuesday, March 28th at 1900 going to 2000 is the Thunder Mountain Detachment. It's the Marine Corps League's monthly meeting that will be taking place here at the Warrior Healing Center conference room. Wednesday, March 29th is the National Vietnam War Veterans Day. So remember our Vietnam veterans on Wednesday. Thursday, March 30th, at 1500 to 1800, we have the Community Leadership Seminar that will be taking place here at the Warrior Healing Center in the main conference room. And also next Thursday, March 30th, starting at 1830, going to 2000, it's the Headspace and Timing, which is a support group. And I highly recommend, if you are looking for a support group, that you come in and you check this group out. They meet at the Warrior Healing Conference Center's main conference room. Again, that's Thursday, starting at 1830 and going to 2000 hours. So that is all of my events and our interview for today. So again, Tat, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Watch out for the bicyclists out there on the road this weekend. Have a good weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.